Hi, and welcome to the Girl Boss Life Academy. I am Dr. Marcea, and I am your Master Destiny Life Coach. And I specialize in helping women to discover who they are, to decide what they want, and then to deliver on their destiny. But what is a girl boss? And I believe every strong woman is powered by the girl boss inside, who is strong, who is tenacious, who is powerful, but who also needs to be encouraged, who also needs to be supported, and who also needs to be loved. And that's what we do here at the Girl Boss Life Academy. And so we help you to redefine who you are, help you to refocus on your goals, and also helps you to redirect your path so that you get to that destination. I remember when I needed that life coach, the decades upon decades of me not knowing the answers, me not feeling confident to make the decisions I needed to make. And so that is what we do here at Girl Boss Life Academy. I use my transformational coaching method to help you to boss up both in life and in a leadership. For those that are ready, go ahead and click and register to get my free gift to you. And you can also learn more about the coaching program. It's time to boss up both in life and in leadership. Hello and welcome again tonight. This is Up Sis Up, and I am Dr. Marcea, and I'm your host and your radio personality here for another entry, another episode of Girls Just Want to Have Funs. And so this is Women's Empowerment Radio. This is where we are rising up. This is where we are standing up. This is where we are speaking up. And this is where we are bossing up, because only then can we live the life that we want to lead. And the only way that we can now impact the people that are in our sphere, those that we are been called to serve. And so tonight is another installment, another boost of financial management. And I have a very special guest with me today. And we're talking about Girls Just Want to Have Funs. And this is the Money Trail Makeover. So somebody put in the chat, put Money Trail Makeover, or put some dollar signs in the chat, And so my question is, has your money gone missing? All right. If you have been looking for your money, the money has gotten into your account, and then all of a sudden you go in and look for it, and it's gone. Okay. If it got gone, I want y'all to say gone in the chat. And I see some dollar signs, and I'm going to see some gones. But today we're going to fix that. Today we're going to get a money trail makeover with none other than TK Barlow. And as she gets ready to come to the stage, TK Barlow is no stranger to the MSE network. She is on the team. She is a team member. She also, you're going to learn more about her in a minute, but she is one of our own. And so just say, welcome TK into the chat. And so TK Barlow, she is a highly experienced accounting professional with a remarkable track record spanning over 17 years as the proud owner of a thriving firm, the Barlow Group. TK specializes in providing top-notch assistance to wellness businesses, ensuring their books are well organized, they remain IRS compliant. Somebody put IRS compliant in the chat. And they stay laser focused on achieving their goals, because this is what it's about, achieving the goals. And beyond her experience in accounting, TK Barlow she's an author, and she is a speaker. And TK's genuine desire to witness entrepreneurs, their thriving, makes her an invaluable resource for achieving business goals. TK Barlow, welcome to Up Sis Up. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I love the introduction too. You said it so nicely and so wonderful. So yes, I am very honored and grateful to be here, to be able to share a couple of things that I love talking about the most. And that is definitely about how to keep
Thank you. Keeping our money so we can create generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how you say that. And the thing that we tend to do as we're trying to create generational wealth is that we are living paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very true.
And if we miss that one, if we get laid off, if there's a furlough, if there's COVID, if there is if the market drops, if the whatever, if you get sick, if you need surgery, we do not have enough of the resources. We don't have the, I guess what you call it, the reserve.
Yes.
And there's also the planning piece that keeps us in this unstable way that we can't get to generational wealth. And so I want you to, by the time we're done today, I want the radio listeners to have some tips, some strategy in order to get to that generational wealth. But before we do that, I know we talked about budgeting on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I want to know, we hear about budgeting all the time, zero balance budgeting, and then we have the envelope method, all that kind of stuff. I really want to know how many people in the world, in the US, whatever, are actually doing a budget. Do you have any numbers on that?
I do. It's about roughly 41%. Now, with this percentage, this is the people that really know where their money is going, okay? Because a lot of people they have no idea of what's happening monthly within their finances. And something else that you kind of sparked something I wanted to say, it's about, out of 5 houses on your street, 3 of them are actually living paycheck to paycheck. So that's very interesting, because that's 3 out of 5 households are paycheck to paycheck. So that's like you were saying, that's like one accident away, or that's one health crisis away, to where you could basically lose everything. And so if we don't have a clear understanding of where our money is going month to month, that could really be a tragedy within your family. And so it's very good to have a budget put in place. But the thing is, when you say budget or the B word, in our mentally, we disconnect from that, because we feel like, okay, that means restriction, or that means limitation. And so we don't want to do that. And so automatically we get pushback when you say, okay, you need to be on a budget. But the thing is, sometimes you have to budget out of necessity or scarcity. Like I did when I was divorced with 4 children. I had to figure out, okay, this is my income that I'm bringing in. Now I need to figure out, how am I going to be able to make sure I have food on the table, to make sure my kids have the basic needs, to make sure I'm able to, cover the mortgage every month. So sometimes we have to budget because we have to. And then other times you have to budget because you need to understand where your money is coming from. So whether you're making, $10 an hour, or if you're making $100 an hour, in both cases, you still need a budget. You still need to know where your money is flowing to. And that is if you're trying to, build something to where you're able to pass down to your children.
No, that's so good. And you talked about the B word, and we think about it as a negative, but as you are sharing with me, the budget is the ground level. Okay.
Yes.
Everybody is trying to get success. We're trying to get to the roof. We're trying to get to the penthouse. But if you don't have a budget, there's no way you can get there.
Right.
Because you have to know where your money is before you can even strategize what's the next step. You can't build generational wealth if even though you have a budget, you're still, if everything is leaving out that you're bringing in, that is budgeting, yes, but there's no strategy. So at the end of 12 months of budgeting and you still have zero savings, guess what? You still live in paycheck to paycheck.
Exactly. And that is, if your paycheck is $1,000 a month or 100,000, it's the same concept. It's the same principle, because all of our goal at the end of the day is to be able to have enough to sustain ourselves, and then have that overflow where we're able to still live in that overflow, and as well as to have something to pass down to our children, whether that's houses or stocks or whatever it may be. I mean, that's my goal. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to have a business and have enough income generating so that I can cover my basic necessities and have an overflow. And so that is the end game. And you're not going to be able to do that without having some type of budgeting strategy in place. But I think the first thing that we have to do is to change that negative mindset when it comes to the word budgeting. What does that really mean?
Okay. Such good information. So I want to make sure that we get to fixing or getting a new money trail makeover. But I feel like this budget thing still is pulling people. And so I want to give you just a moment or two just to kind of give some high level tips. One, we've established that you need to have a budget, whether you have $1,000 or if you have $100,000, and this is the ground floor. What other principles can you leave with us as far as the budgeting process, so we can then move on to the next phase?
Well, I think number one, you have to start with your mentality. Like I was saying, because we have such a negative reaction to budgeting. But first thing you have to understand is that the thing that you want to accomplish with budgeting is understanding that you are bringing a balance to your financials. That's what a budget is. You're going to be able to bring a good balance to it. And so when you think about, oh no, it's kind of like when you think about a diet. When someone says, okay, I need to go on a diet, we think, oh goodness, that means I cannot eat the things I want to eat. I can't do the things that I want to do. And so it's kind of the same thing when someone mentions a budget. So I think number one is to really fix your definition of it. So you're not limiting yourself, you're not restricting yourself, but you're creating these boundaries, right? When it comes to making a budget. So you're going to be able to kind of protect that wealth that you're trying to create. You're going to be able to protect your overflow income that you're trying to create. So number one is to definitely change your mindset when it comes to budgeting. It is more about creating boundaries and a good balance to your financials. And then from that step, then you could actually go into the steps of really creating the budget, because it's easy to create one, but if you don't realize your why you need it and take it, to a deeper level, 6 months into the year, you're going to be like, oh, whatever, what budget? You're not really concerned about it because you're not grounded in the why or in the mentality of why you really need a budget. So I think number one is get clear on what a budget is going to really mean for you, for each individual person.
That's good. Understanding the why is here for balance. And then there's also some boundaries.
Right.
And as you were speaking, the vision came up for me January 1st, or actually January 2nd, when everybody joins the gym. And you have in your mind, you watch this infomercial and you got the sweat jacket, you got little containers, and you got the protein powder.
Yes.
You got all the things, right?
Yes.
Maybe you bought your Peloton, right? And we jump out and we have this regimen and we get halfway through the day or through the week, and we're like, oh my gosh, no, I can't do that. So let's
Right.
carry this over into the budgeting realm. What is considered a realistic budget, or the process to get to a realistic budget?
Mm-hmm. So there are many different types of budgeting that a budget plan that you can create. Like we talked previously was with the envelope strategy. That's one. And then the 50-30-20 strategy, that's with percentages. So you would take basically everything that you are making, all of your household income monthly, and you would break it down into percentages. So, but whatever percentage that you want to break it down in, like you have to gather all of your monthly expenses that you are sending out monthly. Like how much are you paying for a rent mortgage? How much are you paying for a car note? So you want to write down all of those expenses, the necessities, and then the wants and the needs. Like those are going to go into two different categories. So breaking like you don't want to spend, I'm writing it down so I don't forget anything, but you don't want to spend more than 50% for your bills, like your monthly expenses. Like I mentioned, the car notes, the car notes, houses, the rent, mortgage. You don't want to spend more than 50% on those things. 30% is going to be for your wants and your needs. And that also includes like what your food bill looks like. Because we know food right now, shopping at the grocery store is outrageous. So, but you want to try to keep that under 30%. And then 20% will go towards your debt and any type of savings that you want to do. And this 50-30-20% kind of strategy can be used in your personal and as well as for your business. We have a lot of clients that actually try to stick with this 50-30-20, but it goes back again. You have to know your why, like define that thing like to the bare bones, because it's hard to budget just as it is hard to diet. But if you know, okay, if I keep eating junk food, it's going to be detrimental to my health. So I have to do it because I want to be around for my children. Same thing with your budget. Like you have to do it. You have to stick with it so that you're able to like not only sustain your lifestyle, but then be able to live the type of life that you want to live. And so they kind of go both hand in hand. Like you have to change how you think about it. And then if you need to adjust, you can adjust it, your budget. But the thing that I see a lot is around tax time. When clients get their taxes, they feel like, okay, I'm going to ball out, right? No, you don't need to ball out. But if you do ball out, what you can do is take that percentage that you have already determined within your budget and you ball out within that in that percentage, right? So you don't want to do it. You don't want to overdo it, but you still want to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. It's nothing wrong with that, but just don't overdo it.
Mm-hmm. So when you said tax time, I have been in the place where tax time balling out wasn't even an option because I ended up having to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you said ball, I'm like, no, we got to go the other direction, saying, how do I prevent from having to pay Uncle Sam above what I'm already giving, or what I'm already putting aside. And so, but with that, it kind of just blows up puts micro glasses on it. There's a plan, there's a way to get from point A to point B. And you mentioned several times, and I want you to go into detail a little bit more about the why. Let's say I come to you, TK, and I'm like, you know what? I have a business, or this is my personal situation, and I want to leave generational wealth. What do you say from there?
So from there is number one, do you have a budget? Because you have to have a budget in place. So that would be my first question. And then number two, it goes back to your taxes. Like I would want to see what your situation is with your taxes. Because if you're for like an employee, again, like your tax refund is money that is already yours. So we have to understand that too. It's not really a quote unquote refund. It's money that has been withheld all year from your salary. So that's number one. Then if you are an entrepreneur, then you need to figure out tax planning. Like, how can we save you from being able to have to pay in taxes? And a lot of people feel like, okay, tax season is January from April, but not for entrepreneurs, it's not. Tax season for an entrepreneur is year round, because you have to do, again, tax planning, figuring out what are some things that you may need to purchase for your business to lower that tax liability. So if you're coming to me and you're saying, hey, I need to really figure out how can I, start getting a little momentum with building my legacy of building that financial wealth that I want to build. So number one, I would want to look into your budgeting. How much money are you bringing in? How much money are you generating monthly? And then how much are you spending back out in your expenses? So that's the first thing to look at. And then number two would definitely be to examine your tax status, to look at that. If you are an employee, and then if you are an entrepreneur, check out to see what type of business entity you were set up as, try to get some strategies in there to save you on those taxes. And then from there, you're able to save that money that you are saving between budgeting and tax strategizing and put that in savings towards your wealth building.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Understood. Yes. So I heard tax planning, still a strategy, kind of knowing, what's going on the back end. Mm-hmm. Excellent. So now I want to pivot. So now all of us have a budget, okay? In this magical world that we're living in, okay? If you're listening and you don't have a budget, get a budget, okay? Get a budget. And TK, how would you suggest they go about this? I know it's something that you can do on your own, but it's something that we also struggle. But if, say, someone needs assistance, how would you suggest that they go about this?
To get assistance for creating a budget?
Correct.
So first, what I would do is definitely get on the calendar at thebarlowgroup.com with us, and we can definitely help you strategize, how to actually put things together. But the first thing you want to do before you even try to contact anyone is to write out all of your expenses. Like, you want to know what happened last month. Like, go back and look at your financials and see, how, because a lot of us spend a lot in food, like with going out, picking up stuff or going out to restaurants. So you want to get really clear and be honest with yourself, because sometimes we try to try not to face it, but you really want to get clear and get a good understanding of what is happening in your bank account. So probably go back from like last month and just write down all of your expenses, categorize them into maybe, how much you spent eating out, how much you are spending on like subscriptions and apps and things like that, how much you are spending for your monthly, your household expenses. So I would write all of those things out and compare them to how much you are making every month. And then find someone that's able to really help you create a budget that's going to be effective for you. So just not any type of budget, but something that is going to cater to you. Maybe you don't really like the percentages. Maybe the envelope plan would be more suitable for you. So find someone that is able to really help you decide what is going to be easier for you to transition to. And then you're able to take those numbers that you have calculated from last month and present them to you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And how do they reach you if they want to get on your calendar?
Oh, if they want to reach me, they can definitely, my email address is hello@tkbarlow.com. And my website is tkbarlow.com as well. So they can reach out to me either of those ways.
Perfect. All right. So now we have the budget. We either have one, we're getting one, all of that. Okay. Now that first, second, or third month rolls around and we're talking about it's time to purchase something. I don't have a card around here, but we found that thing in the store that we want, or better yet, on Amazon. Okay. But I'm not talking about anybody. I'm talking about me. Okay.
Yes.
Find that thing that you need, right? You need it. You need it because, the little containers that you put your food in, Now there's a shaker bottle that comes with the protein powder mix that you just have to have. It's all the rage. You saw some on TikTok, okay? And I need to have it, okay? How do you, as an accounting professional, as a budgetnista, how would you suggest I manage that purchase?
Okay, so first of all, what we need to do is look inside the percentage that we have set aside for you to be able to quote unquote ball out. So whatever that percentage is, let's say you had set aside yourself for maybe $500 for you to spend on the things that you like. So every month you are setting aside this $500, right? So let's say last month you didn't spend anything for your personal expenses. You said, I'm going to save it. So this month you have $1,000 that you can quote unquote ball out or do the things that you want to do. So if that shaker is within your percentage of your fund money, then you can have at it. But if it's not within your fund money that you have set aside, then you have to wait. Because the thing is that we often see right now is that people buy off impulse. Mm-hmm. It's like a self-gratification thing that they have to have it now. I have to have this shaker bottle to go with my other stuff. But if it's not within your budget, because remember, we're trying to keep a balance of our finances, right? So if it's not within that budget for this month, then next month, you just have to wait until next month, and then you're able to purchase it. So again, it goes back to creating that balance and creating that boundaries and remembering your why. Because if the shaker happens to be more than what you have set aside, then you're going to get off balance. And so that's going to put your wealth building strategy off balance as well. So we have to stay in control of our finances by staying within those boundaries and trying not to go off course.
Mm-hmm. Staying within the boundaries and be okay saying no.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, that is totally fine. It's okay because you know why? It goes back to our why. That's the answer. It's okay because I am trying to build wealth. It's okay because I am trying to build something so that I can eventually create my business and go work in my business instead of working for someone else. Or it's okay because I am trying to, purchase a new home. Whatever that why is the answer to why it's going to be okay for you to wait until next month. And then next month, you can be able to purchase your shaker.
Mm-hmm. So what I heard was saying no now means saying yes later.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And we've been saying yes to all the momentary things. And so by definition, that means we're saying no to the later goal.
Yeah. So yes, you want to be able to get in that place, get in that mindset, and it's about being more responsible. I don't know about you, but like my grandmother and her mother, they always had money on the side. Like you would think grandma, she ain't got no money, but you know what? Grandma always had the money. They was always able to make a big feast on every Sunday and always have food on the table and always give the grandkids, the birthday gifts and the Christmas gifts. How were they able to do that? My grandmother, how was she able to do that when she didn't work? Because grandmother and my great grandmother, they budgeted their money. They knew, okay, this is how much I have coming in. Maybe it was like Social Security or whatever. But they budgeted that money so that they were able to do all the things that we can now look back on and be like, you know what? She really took care of us. We had all the best, all the best birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, and holidays were amazing because they learned how to budget. They were responsible. And so that's what we have to get in the mindset to do, to be responsible so that we're able to do that. And so sometimes, sometimes we have to say no to the impulse buying.
Yes. And so I am a life coach, And I want to kind of go into this just one level deeper.
Okay.
We talked about saying no. Okay. The word no does something to many of us. Okay. When we have to say no to ourselves or someone else tells us no. And so I want to do just a little bit of a flip, a little bit of a reframe. And we
Okay.
talked about saying no now means saying yes later. And so I want us to practice now in the chat when we're thinking about that impulse purchase. And it even works if this is an exercise example and there's that slice of cheesecake that's sitting there in front of you that someone cut for you and actually placed it in your on your plate. You want to say no, but it's hard. And so instead of saying, you can say, I'm saying no to this cheesecake, but I'm saying yes to my health. Or I'm saying yes to my, summer body. Or I'm saying yes to my emotional legacy. I'm saying yes to my financial future. Okay. And so I want you to put it in the chat. I want you to say, I'm saying no to the impulse purchase, but I'm saying yes to my future bank account.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I'm saying yes to my legacy. Okay. And so that is going to be an empowering thought process that now, instead of continuing to search on Amazon or whatever, you're going to say, you know what? I'm satisfied. I'm going to go and look to see what I have at my house. Oh, you know what? I have this shaker bottle from 2 years ago. It doesn't have the emblem, it doesn't have the logo of the thing that I'm purchasing. But you know what? This is going to work just fine. Okay. And then you go shake away and you go about your business. Okay. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love that because again, if it's not a right now thing, it's okay. There will be a time when if you continue to budget and to really save, and budgeting again is not restricting yourself, but it's putting in place the boundaries that you need. So if the shaker is not something or whatever it may be, if it's not something right now, you can definitely do it next month or maybe the month after that, but it goes to where you are building this reservoir for yourself that you are still able to enjoy the things that you like, to enjoy the purchases that you like, but it's still within it's still within certain boundaries. So that's what you want to keep in mind. The same thing goes back to the dieting. You don't want to overeat, like when you give yourself a cheat day. Now on a cheat day you're gonna overeat. But if you say, I'm going to stay within this limitation, I'm just going to have this on this particular day, just one piece, because you're putting in boundaries with it. It's not a free for all thing. So if you continue to put those boundaries, which is your budgeting, in place for your finances, you're going to be able to really hit the goals that you're trying to hit, within your personal life or if it's within your business. But you have to put these things in place. Every day cannot be a free for all thing. It's a lot of entrepreneurs that I talk to, and I'm like, okay, well, do you know your monthly expenses? Do you know how much you generate monthly? Or do you know how much you are sending out monthly? And they don't know. And that's the problem. And it's the same thing if you have, for your personal household expenses. Do you know how much it takes for you to sustain your house monthly? And I was just talking to my daughter. She is 20. She's, trying to live on her own with her first apartment. So I was telling her, the first thing you have to know, how much is it going to take for me to sustain my life monthly? That means what is going to be your baseline? What is that, those basic expenses? Because that is the number that you have to generate monthly in order for you to be able to sustain yourself. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to fall below that, it's going to be a problem. So you have to know going in, this is how much it takes for me to run my household.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm going to, you've given us some good nuggets. Oh. And the first thing I want to know in the chat. I want you to know, I want you to tell me who knows their blood pressure, their last blood pressure range. Okay. If you know, say blood pressure, yes. Okay. If you happen to be I don't know, if you're a diabetic, do you know what your blood sugar is or your A1C? Okay. Who knows their cholesterol? Okay. If you know your cholesterol, say cholesterol, yes. And within the last couple of years, that's fine. Okay. Better yet, who knows how much they weigh?
Mm.
Okay. TK said, okay. If you know how much you weigh, say weigh, yes. I don't need to know the numbers. Don't talk about me. I'm just asking you if you know. Okay. But with that, what TK Barlow is telling us, sharing with us, is that we should also know how much money we need each month to sustain our personal household as well as our business. Okay. And I'm going to say many of us don't. Even if we budget, we may not have the number. But I want you somebody put in the chat, hashtag know your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm one, I don't really want to talk about the numbers. I'm more of a creative. I like, if I just come up with a new idea and and I start running, like, oh yeah, that's cool. Do I know how much it's going to cost me? I don't, because that's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's why we have to team up with people who think numbers are fun. Do you think numbers?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, I don't look, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. No, but I do need to know. And in order to get to the generational wealth, we need to know. We need to know. Okay. So that was the first thing. Second thing that you brought up, and you said this word multiple times. You said boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. And I want you to think about the toddler. Okay. The toddler who's running around doing all kinds of sorts of things. How many parents decide that that toddler doesn't need boundaries? And we're like, you know what? Go ahead, climb up the stairs, go ahead and play in the socket. Go ahead and eat whatever, eat the whole bag of your favorite snack, go to sleep whenever you want to. How many parents do that, do you think, TK?
Mm-mm. No, that's not happening.
That's not how it works, as they say.
No.
That's not how it works.
If
Okay.
you're trying to raise a successful child and you being a successful parent.
Correct. And one step further in your life, in terms of relationships, do you have boundaries for the people that you deal with? Can they call you at any old time of night? Can they call you out your name? Can they borrow or come in, take your credit card and go and spend up all kinds of stuff? Do you have those kind of friends?
Mm-mm.
No, because we have boundaries in place.
Right.
So now let's bring it full circle. Now we're talking about our money. And this is where we get lost.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries are actually freeing. Even in relationships, they say boundaries lead to freedom instead of they're not negative. And so now it's time to put the boundaries around your finances by doing this budgeting. Again, this is the ground floor. We're building a whole, a sky rise, but we have to get this budgeting thing down.
Right.
So thank you so much for bringing that up. So you also mentioned earlier, and I'm going to ask this question. You mentioned about how, sometimes when we have a budget, we think now we are restrictive and restricting what we are doing. Can you speak to either the mindset or what is it you say to clients who say, oh, I need more than $500 for eating out, because we have kids and we're in sports and we're always doing the thing. What do you say to them?
Mm-hmm. So with that, it's the same thing to if we compare it to a diet, because we're saying, okay, this is what you need to eat in order to live a healthy lifestyle. If you continue to eat bad food, or if you continue to eat the carbs and the sugars when you know you're a diabetic, this is going to be the result. the results are not going to be good. They're going to be very negative. And so you take that same type of advice and you apply it to the client that is saying, well, you know, I make too much money. I should be able to spend more on eating out, or I should be able to do more of the things that I like. And that's true. But again, if you are trying to build a certain type of lifestyle for yourself, in order for you to be able to sustain that, you have to be in a budget. You have to have the boundaries, because we see so many people, like how many movie stars, how many sports athletes that you can remember that they made all this money, but now they have to go get a job. They have to go get a 9-to-5. Why is that? Because they had that same mindset. I'm a superstar. I can do what I want. I can buy whatever I want. And they really ball out until it's nothing left. And either they spend all their money on like stuff that is useless, that's not going to bring them value, or either they don't pay their taxes. And you know the IRS is definitely coming after taxes.
They coming for you.
Yes. And so they end up back to zero when it comes to their finances.
Or in jail.
Yes. And so we have to like make the picture really clear. If it doesn't, living a lifestyle to where you're just spending is not going to benefit your end goal. It's not going to benefit when you're saying, okay, I need to be able to save money. I need to be able to build something that I can pass down to my children, or I need to be able to save because I want to purchase a new home. So your goals, your actions have to line up with your goals. So yeah, so if they're telling me, you know, I really want to spend more money on vacations and I want to do more of this, if that's not going to add up with the goal, then they have to get clear and really honest about some more stuff that they may be dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you said something. You said a few words that we need to pause. You said when your actions don't line up with your goals.
Yes.
And as you are an accounting professional and you're working with your clients, how do you handle that when they're saying they have this goal, but their actions aren't lining up?
Okay, so first, with our services, we do like the accounting, but we also, when you're dealing with people that are trying to go through a growth process, it is a lot of habits, is a lot of bad actions that have to be corrected. And so you have to address those things, of course, in a loving way, but sometimes those are the things that need to be corrected. And so we try to address those, because if it's negative behavior, because we all have negative and habits that we pick up, you know, as we grow into an adult. And sometimes those things are not going to be conducive to your end goal, or to those results that you're trying to bring about. Sometimes we are lazy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, you know, we have those areas in our lives where we're a little bit lazy. We don't want to get up and work out every day or 3 times a day, but we want a good, fit, toned body. Mm-hmm. So your actions have to line up with your end goal. Okay. And so the first thing is to understand, okay, how much or how far do I need to stretch myself in order to get where I want to get to? Because the journey is not going to be easy, whether you're dealing with dieting or budgeting or whatever it may be, because obviously you're not there where you're trying to go. You're trying to get to step B. So from step A to step B, it's going to be some work. It's the process. Mm-hmm. So it's some things that we have to deal with, you know, mentally, to be able to correct the bad habits that we have. And that's what, you know, bringing resources, like we're talking about now, budgeting. If you're trying to make a certain amount of money or buy a house or buy a new car, then the resource is going to be, okay, you may need to learn a little bit about budgeting so that you are able to change those bad habits that you have created over the years. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question. Mm-hmm. And let's say for instance, if it's me, okay, and I'm gonna give an example of maybe some of those bad habits. Okay, so say I'm coming to you, I'm like, you know what, TK, I've been trying to budget. This is my thing. This is whatever. But my bottom line, my savings, I keep dipping into the savings because I've got some other things that are happening. This is happening month over month over month. Give me an example of some of the maybe the bad habits or the places where we could pivot so that I can now go to success.
So the first thing we need to understand is, what are you taking the funds from your savings and spending them on? Mm-hmm. And then we would want to go through your expenses. Maybe it's some things that, again, that you were able to cut back on temporarily, if those things are like needed expenses, and maybe you can pick them back up in a couple of months. So we would go over all of your spending to see where you're able to cut back on. And that could be temporarily or it could be permanently. Maybe it's some subscriptions or apps that you really don't need and use, because a lot of people have a bazillion subscriptions to to different TV streamings. Why do we need all this? So it's something to do that I encourage people to do at least quarterly or at least twice a year, is to go through their expenses. Look and see, where you can cut back some things that you may not even really need anymore, and then apply those finances to your savings to be able to build that account back up, so that you're not having to dip in that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I have just a question about your services. Now, why don't you kind of share what it is you do and what that looks like?
So we cater to businesses, and we also cater to personals, to employees for tax services. So we do personal and business taxes, but our main service that we give is to wellness and health professionals. So we deal with, right now within our firm, we have 12 wellness and health professionals, and these are people with med spas. They have their massage therapists, and then we also handle other companies as well. But this is the services that we cater to health and wellness professionals, because within the med spa business is a trending business right now, and a lot of these entrepreneurs, they're making the money. They don't have a problem with generating the revenue, but the problem comes in with, okay, how do I plan or strategize to where I am able to keep these profits in my pocket? Because you're going to pay the third of that right back to the IRS. Mm-hmm. And so what a lot of them don't understand is that the IRS gives business owners so many incentives within, the tax code with tax deductions. And so when I first started my first business, it was actually a daycare. And I didn't know anything what I was supposed to be doing with bookkeeping or taxes. I knew none of that. And I left it up, to my tax preparers. I thought she was going to be able to tell me what was what, but I ended up owing that year. And so that is what kind of motivated me. It's like, what's the sense of me trying to build a business if I have to give all my profits back to the IRS? And so that's when I went to school. I dug deep into figuring out how am I able to save. And then that's how I started the Barlow Group, because a lot of entrepreneurs don't have that resource or someone to really dive deep into their finances, because they're trying to build their business. So that they're not really concerned about the numbers. They just want to know, am I good? And so that's what we do. Like, we bring that part of the business aspect to entrepreneurs, so that they're able to get, a solid foundation on where they should be. And we provide them the information and the resources that they need to thrive in their business.
Excellent. That sounds amazing. What's the frequency that you contact or you're in connection with the business owners?
At least once to twice a week. Some business owners don't like to be contacted, so it depends on the relationship. But a lot of people, the majority of them want, that one-on-one type of business relationship where they can just say, hey, TK, where am I today, or what's really going on? But quarterly, we sit down with everyone and go over their numbers thoroughly. So we do like maybe like 1 to 2 times a week, just to follow up on anything or make sure they don't need any additional resources or numbers. So we stay in contact, but we really do an in-depth consultation quarterly. And sometimes I have one client that's monthly, but at least we definitely get it in on quarterly because we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. We go over goals to make sure that you're hitting those targets. We go over KPIs so that we can see what is the most generating source that you have within your business, making sure that service or that product is running like it's supposed to be.
Got you. And is the tax prep also part of your service space?
Yes, because we offer the tax planning. I spoke about that earlier. Tax planning is something that's definitely essential for entrepreneurs as well as individuals too. But quarterly, we go over like all of the expenses, things that are going to be more beneficial when it comes to taxes.
Excellent. That sounds amazing. And go ahead and give your information again for those listeners who need to contact you.
Yes, if they can contact me by email. They can send an email to hello@tkbarlow.com. And then my website is tkbarlow.com as well.
All right, perfect. So my next question has to do with, okay, so I've been budgeting. I've been really good. I've been looking at my expenditures. I've been counting to 10 and saying no to myself, but yes to my destiny.
Yes.
But then I'm like, you know what? After a month or two, I'm like, you know what? I feel like I need to shoot for something. I need to like do a reward. I need to do something to say, hey, I need something to say, you know what? You're doing a great job. This is a little something, something. So how do you deal with rewarding yourself while you're on a budget?
You can reward yourself, but as long as you stay within your fund money that you have set aside, if it's within that, what do you say, about 30%, if you stay within that fund money, however you want to break that down, if it's your reward, I'm saving for a vacation, I'm saving for, to get my expensive braids done. However you want to break that down, as long as you are within that percentage that you have set aside. Now, if you're trying to do something new off, just from the top of your head, that's something that you have to say no to right now, but you can say yes to later because you're going to save towards it. And so that's the other thing when it comes to budgeting, like we have to understand, you're not limiting yourself. You're just limiting yourself temporarily. But if you're going to be saving according to your budget, if you're going to be saving $500 a month or whatever that number is, then you just have to do the calculations. If your trip is going to cost you $1,000, then okay, after 2 months, I'm going to be able to pay for my trip. So you're not limiting yourself. You're not restricting yourself from anything, but you are budgeting according to it. You're going to budget for it. You're going to save for it so that your finances stay balanced, that they stay on track for your end goal. So that's what we have to remember. This is something that I cannot go this month, but I will be able to go in September because I am going to save and budget according to my finances.
Got it. Okay. So let's say someone has, they're in a relationship, they're married, whatever, and one person is a spender and one person is a saver.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, or two business partners who come to you. They're like, one's a saver, one's a spender. One wants to run, one wants to say, you know what, let's pull it in. How do you deal with that?
So what we would do is we would set up 2 different accounts. Ooh. One account is going to be for the business, all of the finances for the business. So you would set up a budget, that same budget that we're talking about, set that up in a whole different account. Then in a second account, you can send all of the money, the 30% that we're setting aside for the fund money, that can be sent over to another account. And then the person that wants to spend, he has to be on a budget as well. But he can be under a budget within the spending account, kind of like in a relationship. You would have 2 different accounts if this is the problem, so that your budget is protected your finances are still going to be taken care of. But if you have one person that has like a problem with spending, then okay, you can say, honey, this is the account that we're going to use for our personal expenses, and still have boundaries with that too. Like they have to get on the same page with setting aside the boundaries as well. And so you would have them spend from the account where you have set up for your personal money. Because then at the same time, your household expenses, all of that is still going to be on track. So yeah, that's what I would do.
It's genius.
Yeah, until the spending person gets, on the same page and on the roll where you're trying to get to, just have a separate account with the boundaries and say, this is how much you can spend. This is according to our budget. And this is how we're going to do it. And so your other expenses are already protected and taken care of.
I love that. I love that, because the other thing, this probably applies to this as well. Say you are married and you have one account. Like say you have your checking account and both the direct deposits go in. And when you go to the ATM, it may look like you have money, but the tuition hasn't come out. Your car payment hasn't come out.
Right.
You have 2 more weeks worth of grocery shopping. This appointment, this subscription, that subscription, the BG&E electric bill, the water bill, you have to pay the loan guy. How do you suggest families in that situation going forward?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. This is something that we do within our family. I have one account set aside for all of our financials. So like the monthly bills, the grass guy, all of that is coming out of that account. So it's a budget for that, of course. Then we have another account where it's just set up strictly for long-term savings. So that's like, where all of what we're building, that money is going in there. And then it's another account for like personal expenses, for like things, when I want to go get my hair done or go shopping, or the kids need a new pair of shoes. Those things come out of another account. So you have like the account for your finances, an account for long-term savings, and then a personal account for when you're doing all of the, the things that you want to plan for, any type of expenses that you want to do for, to do the fun things that you want to do. All of those are going to come out another account. So I would set up maybe 3 different accounts at least.
Okay. So then the person who doesn't like numbers is coming out now. Okay. So I got 3 different accounts. It sounds like I got at least 2 budgets. How do you merge it all together to make it make sense and it still fits into that budget that I'm looking at?
Yeah, because what you're still doing the 20, 30, 20 percentage. So if I know that all of my expenses are not going to go over 50%, I'm putting 50% for my household income, for my household expenses, 50%. 30% I am is for my personal things, for the things that I want. Then the 20%, I may put more than 20%. I know 20% is more than in my long term, but 20% is going towards my savings, and then 10% is going towards my saving, and the other 10 is going towards any debt. Then if you don't have any debt, you can put the whole 20 towards your savings. So you're going to have 50% for your monthly expenses, for your monthly household expenses, your rent, mortgage, car notes, all of that, 50%. You don't want to go over 50%. If you do, then you need to go and try to see what you can kind of get rid of, or find other sources that may be a little bit cheaper. So 50% is for your household expenses. 30% is going towards the things that you want to do, whether that's like shopping or, the extra stuff. And then the 10 needs to go towards your savings, 10 for your debt, or the entire 20 towards your savings.
Okay, got you. Okay, I love it. So as we're going to get ready to wrap this up, this has been so helpful, so rewarding. Everyone get a budget. Somebody put hashtag budget. Okay, hashtag budget. We are leaving this month on Up Sis Up if nothing else, with a budget. And last week we talked about, starting your own business. And there are some benefits of starting a business. And you even mentioned when you started your first one, that the tax part you didn't have enough tax shelter or tax planning. Mm-hmm. And so that's important as well. And then the other thing I want us to walk away from is that if you need help, okay, the 60% of us who didn't have a budget, who start the budget and then fall off, or it gets too much. We want to hide, want to run from the money, run from the numbers. No, we want the money, but we want to run from accounting for it. If you need somebody to help you, reach out to TK. Reach out and say, hey, I need some help. I need some assistance, because the why here is we want to keep the money. I started at the top of the hour with, it has your money gone missing. And how many times do we look in our account and we're like, where did that go? Mm-hmm. You spent it. You spent on your nails, your hair, the bag, the food, the trip, the whatever, right? And we're like, but I didn't think I spent that much. You did, right? Because it's gone.
Yes.
money got going, but we're trying to keep it. And we're trying to, not try, I don't like to say the word try. We are keeping it. Mm-hmm. And we're doing it on purpose. We're being intentional about how we're walking into the next phase of our lives. And so, TK, I want you just to if you have a closing thought, I'm gonna call it a TK-ism, something that you may say, something that you may share that's going to leave the listeners inspired and encouraged.
Okay, sure. So what I want to say is this, like, wherever you're trying to go in life, whatever you are trying to do, whether that's, you want to start a business, or you want to just be able to have a type of lifestyle for yourself or your children, first, you definitely need to become an entrepreneur. Like you just mentioned, entrepreneurship is the way to go. But when you are doing that, you also have to know all the benefits that it comes to being an entrepreneur, which is through your tax deductions. Those expenses, those are the things that are going to keep money in your pockets. Being an entrepreneur is one of the key strategies to build wealth. So if you want to build wealth, if you want to be able to change your life and really dream beyond your reality, you need to be an entrepreneur. Stop building other people's dreams and start building yours.
Ooh, I gotta give you some of that. Because that's what we've been prepared to do. That's what we've learned to do. Okay. And it is so clear. You are not going to become whatever it is you're thinking you're going to become. That nest egg is not going to grow by working a 9 to 5.
Right.
It just isn't.
It's not.
It's not. But then we're afraid to launch out into this entrepreneurial space because now there's risk. Mm-hmm. But where there's risk, there's also reward.
Yes.
But you have to have the right people in your camp in order to get there. Okay, so such great nuggets. Thank you for being here. Again, TK Barlow, she's an accounting professional. She has her business is called the Barlow Group. She has openings if you want to get on her calendar to talk about the whole budgeting and the tax planning and your why and all of that. And in addition to that, she's also part of the MSE network. And so I am so grateful to have you on Up Sis Up. And so, the last question I want you to know, I always ask when you hear the words Up Sis Up, what does that mean to you from an accounting perspective?
That means us really taking responsibility for bringing in that bag. And maybe it's not even about your bag, but it's really you stepping out of your comfort zone to hit those goals that you want for your life. I said changing your reality and being able to dream beyond where you are right now. So yeah, up sis up. Let's go.
Up sis up. Again, thank you, TK. I will see you in these MSE streets. Until next time, take care.
Thank you.
There you have it. That was TK Barlow, an accounting professional. She dropped some gems. Somebody say drop some gems, put some gems in the chat. And it was amazing. It was empowering. It was inspiring. So get your budget, reach out to her, and she will help you along the way. And so this has been Up Sis Up, Women's Empowerment Radio. I am Dr. Marcea, and I'm your Master Destiny Life Coach and the Girl, a Boss. And what I do is I help professional women who are trapped in their personal prison. I help them to discover who they are, to decide what they want, and then to deliver on their destiny. And you can reach me at info@drmarcea.com or on my website at drmarcea.com. With that, I will see you next week. Take care.